Okay, Falcons, this time we are going to make an app that uses a list. And for this app, we are going to create a static list. That is a list where the programmer puts in the items and the items cannot be changed by the user. Whatever list you want to make is up to you as long as it is school appropriate. And we've already in class covered the list making process. So with that list handy, let's set up the view layer of our app. We are going to need some arrangements. We are going to need one text label, and we are going to need one button to get us going. I'm going to speed up while I put these things in place. Keep in mind that when you are building your app, the arrangements are going to make the app look the way you want. Decide, do you want things centered? Do you want space between the button and the text label? Watch my quick example here, and then pause the video and take the time, not too much, to make yours. So I have now set up my screen, my view layer for my list app. And I have decided, as you can see by the button, that when the user presses the button, this app is going to display a random complement. Now, a couple things I would like you to notice. Number one, notice that I put everything in a vertical arrangement. We've been mostly using horizontal arrangements in our apps. In fact, I think exclusively we've been using those. And I put in a vertical arrangement because I wanted my things to stack one on top of the other, not side by side. So I put my horizontal arrangements inside a vertical arrangement. The other thing I'd like you to notice is that I renamed these three arrangements that I put in. I put in three horizontal arrangements. I named the first one the text label arrangement because that's where my text label went. I named the second one my spacer arrangement. I called it a spacer because I just wanted some space between my button and the text that displayed. And you can see I made the height of that 20%. That means 20% of the screen's height was going to separate my button and my label. And then I named it the button arrangement. The other thing I named were my components, my text label and my button. And that way, when I'm in the code blocks view, it's easy for me to tell what those things are. One final note before you pause and build your screen is the size. You may have noticed I made my text label, my complement label, 24 point, and I made it bold. I also increased the size of the text on my button. These are the only two components that are going to be in the view layer, the user layer of the app. And I want them to be able to see it clearly. So that's what I did. Now I would like you to pause and build your screen. Okay, students, even though we are making a static list, This is not the same as a text label. And as programmers, we want to be able to change this list if we need to. So whenever we are creating something where the values, including text, can change, we start it with a variable. So to begin your app with a list, you are going to initialize a new variable. And you're going to give this variable a name that makes sense. You could simply call it list. Now my app is going to be about giving compliments, so I'm going to call this my compliment list. And I'm not going to put in any spaces because MIT App Inventor hates that. I'm going to use camel case to make compliment list as my variable. I have my variable now. I need to set this variable to something. I need to initialize it to a beginning value. And this is where you'll notice over here on the left, you have a list drawer. And if I open that, I want to make a list. Because this is a static list, I'm going to make it. Now, when we made our list on paper in class, I asked you to make a list of at least 5 items, at least 5 things on your list. So you'll notice we've got a problem here. There's only 2 puzzle piece receptors here. We need some more. That's where you go to the little gear symbol, click it, and then just drag and add items. Add as many items as you have on your list. Add at least 5. I'll add 6. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Room for 6 items. And since I'm going to make compliments, short phrases, that is a string of text. I'm going to go to my text drawer and I am going to grab a blank text item and a blank text block, and then I'm going to type in my first compliment. There it is. You are awesome. Now, if I want to save some time, I can just duplicate, and I can do this to create the rest of my compliments. I'm going to speed up while I do this, and then at any point during my adding my blocks, pause the video, initialize your variable, and create your list. Okay, now that I have added my items to my list, and you will notice that I have attached them to the blue list block, I am now ready to make something happen in my apps. What I have created in my list is some information in the model layer of my app. This is the layer where the app pulls the information. So we are now going to create the button event handler, which would be the controller layer, the layer of the app where the action happens. I'm going to go to my blocks menu, and I'm going to go and pick my random button. When random button click, when you tap that random button, something is going to happen. What is it that we want to happen? We want our text label to display one of these compliments that are in my list. And it's going to be random. So the first thing is we have to set our text label. And so here is our compliment label. And we've done this before. When we did the score in our Build-A-Body app, we are going to set the compliment label text, not to a score this time, we are going to set it to a random item in the list. So let's go to our list drawer, and is there anything that can help us? Oh, here it is. Pick a random item. So we're going to set the text label to a random item from what list? Well, it's from our complement list right here, and if I mouse over, I can grab one of these handy get blocks. I could also find one of those here in the variable drawer and then set it to the complements list. So now I have when the random button is clicked, we're going to set the complement label to a random item in this list. When you have done this, check it out. Test your app and see if it works. Pause this right now and test out your app. All right, students, your app has worked. It was pretty cool. Now here is one more thing you can do. If you want to spice up your app a little bit, I want to show you how to use a different hidden component. We're going to pull these blocks out of the button click. In fact, I'm going to delete the button click, and I'm going to go back to the designer view. And in the designer view, I'm going to go over to my sensors, and I'm going to grab the accelerometer. And notice it's a non-visible component. And this is going to access the accelerometer inside the phone. The accelerometer is something that senses the motion in your phone. And what we're going to do is make it so that we can shake the shake the phone instead of clicking the button to make our random choice happen. So instead of a button, we would have a text label that says shake for a compliment or something like that. And how we fix that is we go here now and find our accelerometer, acceleration change. That would be if you were going into motion. Oh, here it is, shaking. We want the shaking event handler, and we're going to remove our set text label blocks inside of there. Now, test your app again. Students, now that you've tested your app, take a little time and go back and to the designer layer and go ahead and spice up your app the way you want. Here now, if you have time left, change background colors, change the shape or color of your button, and make this app yours personally. And then enjoy it.